Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. This is episode 113. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Man, I was hesitant to record or not for this week because I am in a low. And I know I talk about this a lot, especially as an emotional authority in human design. That means my emotional center, which is in the lower right of your chart. If you're looking at your human design chart, the lower right shape is colored in. And that means I have consistent access to emotions and I have waves that I'm surfing at all times. For me in particular, I have 3 different waves that I'm riding most of the time. So I'm very familiar with highs and lows and have gotten really skilled at processing emotions, navigating them, and really importantly, not creating identities or beliefs or making big decisions within a high or a low. And part of that includes often not putting a lot of content out within a high or a low. However, I have been in a bit of a low for about a week now. And I just want to talk about it with you all because I know that there is a stigma around how we're feeling. And I even kind of catch myself if a certain feeling is extended for a certain amount of time, I'll catch myself even falling into that judgment and stigma. And I just want to talk about that because this is my work, right? My work in this world is to help you all access and see and allow all emotional experiences. And I'm undecided yet of what all this means. But, part of me wonders, I used to think that by going through all these waves of emotions and feelings that it means you're going to feel good more often, right? If you clear out your old emotions, if you let yourself feel, you're just going to feel good. And as I've gone deeper down this path, as I've really evolved and gained more wisdom and insight into this, I actually just think it means that we're going to feel more often, but we're not going to get as stuck in it. And most importantly, maybe, is that when we feel those good feelings, they're more authentic, they're more genuine, and they carry more depth and weight. Whereas we might be used to pretending to feel good or feeling fine or not having the contrast of how good or how low we could feel because we kind of stay in a neutral, or really only knowing like when you feel really sad and you're crying, like that might be your only, or angry. When we're doing this work that I'm doing with my clients and myself, it's really starting to expand into the full spectrum of what's accessible and have more nuances in what you're feeling and experiencing, and have words to put with it, which is helpful for the mind, but also without putting that same level of judgment on it as well. And that's an interesting contemplation for me. And it might even be hard for you to hear is, I don't know if the goal is to just feel good all the time. I don't know that. Now, I'm also saying this from a low, so I'm aware of that. And it might be really different for everyone, but I think it might just be to feel deeper and to have it be more authentic and real, and also have it be more fluid so we don't get stuck in any one place. And I love that, and I'm here for it, and I'm open to see how that continues to evolve in my life, in my business, in my own perspective, as well as that of my clients. So that's kind of one thing that's just been a fun contemplation for me. And just speaking from the lows, like here's some things that come through. So this past Saturday and the one before, I started up biking with John again. I started exercising again. I showed you that last week in the podcast episode. And with that came joining John on his runs on the weekend, and I go on my bike. And I was feeling so low last weekend, so not this past Saturday, but the one before. And John's like, he's so good because he's also an emotional authority, but he stays a little bit more neutral than me. He doesn't have as many waves that he's riding, and his are faster waves than mine. And he's like, all right, Deanna, come with me on the bike ride. That will help. And I'm like, all right. Like, I'm feeling low, but I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And it was so interesting because I did the bike ride and I enjoyed it, but it didn't have that rapid mood shift that sometimes exercise can have, right? And I worked out last week and that felt good, but it didn't give me that like, yes feeling that often a workout can, like a workout to me or a moving can be a really effective tool for allowing your emotions to literally move through you. And then this past Saturday, and the funny thing is, like, guys, I've been having great weeks. Like, life is good. I want to be really clear about this. I think there can be a difference when you're riding a wave and you're experiencing things when life is really hitting hard, right? When things are going wrong, when you're worn down, when you're dealing with trauma or intensities in your relationship or your work. But for me, this is why I think it's really powerful to talk about, is talking about feeling in a low when you're actually feeling good, right? Things are okay, but you're still in a low. So like I had a really wonderful week last week. I had some beautiful invitations. Thank you to these magical humans. I got to present, which I talked about on last week's podcast, my desire for this. I got 2 invitations to facilitate an emotional clearing session and this beautiful, powerful experience that I walk people through. I got to do that with a couple of groups and I got invitations to do more of that. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. Was able to support a client really beautifully, which always feels amazing. I had quality time by myself, which is my favorite thing in the world. John was out of town. It was like rainy and cloudy, and I got to just like be at home alone in my own energy. I made some delicious new meals. I had some quality conversations. Like it was a good week, right? Objectively. So on Saturday, I woke up and I felt low and I was like, ah. And I looked at John, I said, maybe we should change. I need to rename Saturday as Sad Day. He's like, oh my God, Dana. Because that's how I felt. And I thought, well, maybe it's just like my body. I always say this is when we're feeling something and there's no quote reason for it. Like if you can't find a logical reason, sometimes it's really obvious, right? Why you feel some way. But often, especially the deeper you get into the work that I do with clients, especially if you're working with me, is you'll start to feel a certain way. And your mind will say, well, there's no reason for this. I shouldn't be feeling this way because there's no reason. And that's one of the biggest fallacies, is that we think we need to have a reason to feel a way. And I'm like, no, we don't. And in particular, when things are quote unquote good and you're not feeling a way, my belief, and it's funny, as I'm telling you guys this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I need to hear. My belief is that it just means that your body is going through its own processing and dealing with things on your behalf. And if it's busy processing some old emotion and clearing out, right, doing some shedding, that takes a lot of energy, which usually then means you don't have as much outward energy or as much oomph, which can mean that you feel kind of low. But that low feeling doesn't necessarily mean you're depressed or you're sad or something's wrong. It just means your energy is really focused and turned inwards. and you don't have as much energy because your body is really busy handling something for you. I so needed to hear that. Oh my gosh. That's what I needed to hear. Apparently, that's why I'm recording this podcast. Thank you, body. Thank you, body, for handling something that is below my level of consciousness. Thank you, body, for processing, shedding, and clearing what is no longer serving me so that I have space to bring in what's next. I have big, beautiful visions for this next quarter. I'm inviting 5 clients, one-to-one clients, to work with me starting in June. If you're one of them, please reach out to me. Send me an Instagram DM at Dana_Evans or email me. I'm inviting 5 people in. I'm revamping my program. I'm open and excited to start working with other people's groups and their masterminds and being a support coach to facilitate this deeply personal and deeply misunderstood emotional side of coaching. And I have some other visions of what I want to birth into the world. And in order to create something new, in order for me to have energy and space to create something new, like there's some shedding that needs to happen. I know this so deeply. And so as I'm telling you this, I'm also now reflecting, May, I had declared this last week, is this spring cleaning month. But my mind had an idea of what that means, because part of this feeling low is I haven't had as much energy, and my mind is mad because I'm supposed to, according to the rules that I made for myself, be cleaning out my closet. I'm supposed to be doing a cleanse. I'm supposed to be revamping the things in my business. And what's happening instead is I'm feeling low and I don't have the energy. And I'm thinking there's a problem when really it's my body doing exactly what I wanted the month of May, which is it's spring cleaning. But it doesn't always look like how we think it needs to look. It doesn't always look like I sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work on my emotions today, right? I'm going to clear out today. I'm going to XYZ. Like the mind likes to dictate how and when we do cleaning and clearing. And my mind loves to dictate that, to be clear, because I love cleaning and clearing, whether it's emotions, whether it's my computer desktop, whether it's my closet, whatever it is, my body, I love cleaning and clearing. It's a very happy space for me. I have been doing cleanses for probably since I've been like 22. And I've always loved organizing. And once I dove into this emotional world, it's like cleaning and clearing up our insides, our emotional space, right? Our energetic space. It's like, oh, it's my jam. But still, I catch my mind wanting to dictate and determine. And literally, as I'm sharing this to you, I feel a little bit of just a little hint of lightness, of lift, because I'm realizing my body is doing cleaning and clearing on my behalf, and I'm not involved in it. And all my body is requesting from me is to have space and rest so that it can do its job. And I know this to be true because this happens every time. And let me tell all of you, I am the queen of lows. I know lows very well. And the less I resist them, the more moves through them, and the more easily I'm able to come back up for air and have energy for whatever is the next best thing and step for me. But until I complete that cycle of the low, aka of the processing that's happening internally, I can't expect to have the energy and drive to complete what I want to do externally. I think that's really important as I'm saying that, because this happens with clients all the time. They're like, they want to get over with the grief. They want to get done with the intense emotions so that they can go on their way and sell, so they can grow their businesses, right? So they can work with more clients. But that's trying to dictate timing where we don't actually have control over this. The purpose of being present within whatever wave you're in, it can be a high too, right? If you're in joy, like be in the joy versus being afraid that you're going to lose the joy, right? It's about being present with wherever you are within your emotional state, letting it move through, using the tools, of course, that I give you, like working with actual emotional processing and clearing is very effective for all of this. And doing things like tapping, breath work, meditation, mindful movement, all of those things are really powerful. But removing that layer of judgment. That's why I'm saying I can feel a little lift as I've just shared exactly what I needed to hear. And I so hope that some of you needed to hear this as well, because the lift was the removing of the judgment about where I'm at. Doesn't change my state. My job isn't even to change my emotional state. Some other people will tell you different. But this is avant-garde work that we're doing here. What I'm doing and what I do with my clients. It's avant-garde. It's not the standard protocol. Your job isn't to change your emotional state. Your job is to be with yourself in presence wherever you are. And let that envelope you. Give your body what it needs. It will signal to you what it needs. My body is requesting rest and slowness. And I have been listening to that. But today my mind was like, enough. Being with yourself in presence wherever you are, especially if it's a low, and letting it move through you, right? The age-old phrase, I don't know if it's age-old, what we resist persists. And so if you're resisting the low, one, it's going to be more of an energy drain. If you're trying to push through the low, like trying to overperform when you're in a low, you are running on empty. You're trying to fuel a tank with no gas. You're running on fumes. Or if you're in deep judgment of what this means, and in particular, if you try to make a lot of meaning out of it, like, oh no. In fact, I was on a walk with my mom and I was trying to make meaning of it. And that's what we want, right? The mind wants to make meaning because it wants to understand, because it thinks if it understands, it can fix. But when we're working in this realm of our emotions and like the energetic body, it's not about fixing. It's about seeing and processing, right? See it, allow it, and let it move through. Or in my 3-step process that I use with clients, it's stop, look, and listen. When you feel that intensity of whatever it is, the emotion is, you stop. You pause. The tendency often would be to be like, nope, I don't want this, and to try to run away from it, right? So we try to move through it or past it or away from it or try to push it down. So step 1 is that stop and that pause. Step 2 is the look, and you examine like what's happening, like what am I experiencing really objectively. You can be really descriptive of like what I'm feeling, where is it in my body, what's coming up. And then the listen part is really tuning in through your inner voice and listening to what it has to share with you. Sorry, my inner voice started talking. It's like, hello, you haven't been listening to me. My inner voice is saying, you're exactly where you need. There's nothing wrong that we can see. Allow yourself to sit and be as all the changes are coming through me. There are no problems. There are no woes. There is nothing you need to fix, nowhere you need to go. Sit with us, sit in peace, sit and breathe, sit in ease. We welcome more conversation with us. We welcome this. We welcome this. Please just trust. Whew. I have tears and chills now. This is the magic. This is the magic of the work I do. You learning to be able to tap in, to sit with these emotions, to release the judgment, to work with your inner voice for clarity, for a different perspective. Oh man, it's life-changing. I mean, it really is a radical way to live, and it removes so much resistance. And even me, like, this is my work, and I forget. It's easy to get caught up in expectation and judgment and the 3D world. But just me sitting in here, I'm in my parents' closet, right? Like, I've isolated myself and I settled and I've breathed, and speaking through this with you all has given me that clarity, right? And it gave space for my inner voice to pop in and just give me that little nudge that I needed. I love it so much. I cannot even tell you. I said to my mom, I said, I don't really want to record, but something in me is calling me to do it anyway. And we can all see what just happened in this recording. So I really trust that this did not just serve me, that just served me on a very deep level. But I trust that you also received exactly what you needed from this, and that it's helping you understand as well what's coming up, what's coming through. So thank you as always for listening. If you're interested, if you're feeling a certain way, if you're in a low or feeling a flood of emotions that are overwhelming you, or if you're feeling like you're not having access to much at all, if you're feeling kind of numb, right? Or someone said like ghost-like or dead inside. Those are phrases that I've heard. If you're feeling not, right? If you don't have much feeling, I'm here for you too. And I would love to support you with a single session just to get a taste of what this is like, and to start to bring you back into your body in that witnessing, observing place, and to help you access your own inner wisdom, your own inner voice, to help you clear and move through whatever's coming up so that you can come more to that place of calm clarity. So you can always book a session with me, alignful.com. You can click on the Work With Me tab, or I'll just put the direct link to book a session in the show notes. And those prices are actually going up for the single 90-minute sessions. They're going up in June. So if you've been curious, now is definitely the time to get in and book that. And I get to be in those sessions. It's not just about the process we go through, but being in my energy, having done so much of this work and being able to find this calm clarity, is I'm here to help co-regulate your energy and your nervous system and your emotions so that they can move in a really and express themselves in a really safe and anchored way, so that they don't overwhelm or drown you, right? So being in my energy in itself is really supportive for your own process of emotional clearing. So that's part of what I do as your emotional feeling and clearing coach, is I'm here to help co-regulate you. So I would be honored to support you in this way. And if you're curious about working together, I have a link to the coaching request form. And it's some deep questions because I want to make sure it's an energetic match and that you know what you're wanting. So go through, fill out the Google form, and then we can talk after that. So with that, thank you as always for listening, and I'll see you next week on the Tuning In podcast. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or find me on my website at alignful.com.